Welcome in, FG fam, to the very first episode of the Colorado Rockies franchise here on MLB the Show 22. I'm excited to bring this to you, but let's go over how this series is going to work. Channel members are guaranteed players either on our team or top prospects. Everybody else, they will get a random prospect. I'll be fixing rosters to provide more realism, prospects, performance boosts on certain players. We're going to get deeper looks at AAA and AA. We're going to make it deeper and better than ever before. We'll have 8 regular season videos and a draft special. That's 9 total, plus the playoff. That gives us 16 full games and some critical situations throughout each season. And because of that, we will be able to play each division rival twice and 8 games of your choosing. You can see their budget here on this screen. $26 million a year for Kris Bryant. That was their big signing of the offseason. Get rid of Trevor Story, let him go. Get rid of Nolan Arenado for Beans, and then bring in Kris Bryant. I mean, at a whole new position, I don't know. Rockies confuse me, but we are taking over, and we're the GM now.
I'm the captain now.
German Marquez is the ace of our staff, and while he's not exactly one of the best aces in Major League Baseball, he's at least relatively balanced and a high-velocity pitcher. Just got to get him to control it. Austin Gomber is number 2 in the rotation, another guy in the prime of his career with a B potential. Not as much stamina as our man Marquez, but still a relatively balanced pitcher. Antonio Senzatella is high stamina and very good walks per 9, but he doesn't exactly have extreme velocity, and he'll have to get it done with a nice mix of pitches. Another B potential guy in Kyle Freeland, who many expected to be a really good pitcher, has kind of fallen off just a little bit, and he has some work to do. Our 5th starter, Chad Kuhl, not exactly the best, but I mean, he's a 5th starter, will improve eventually. Joe Rock is a prospect in the upcoming organization that we really have high hopes for. Again, another B potential, not the highest of prospects, but we're hoping he can do something. Ryan Rolison, another guy that we are highlighting here that we expect to do great things in the future. Unfortunately, right now, his walks per 9, not exactly the highest, so that's not exactly MLB ready. He's going to take some time in the minors, and we'll be watching him closely. Besides Ryan Rolison, there is not a lot of other prospects in the pitching stable. We are going to definitely have to put a focus on bringing some more in. As far as relief pitchers, we aren't good anywhere. Our best relief pitcher is Robert Stevenson at the moment. A 70 overall, only C potential. He's not very good, but he might eat some innings. The other guys, we've got some old guys like Daniel Bard and Chachin. Those guys are not even good. And prospects coming up for relief pitching are non-existent, as you can see. There's some young guys, but they are not guys that are ever expected to really make an impact. However, we do have Alex Colome as our closing pitcher, who's somewhat decent, but again, not exactly the best. A lot of areas to improve in the pitching stable. So let's check out the hitters. Elias Diaz is our starting catcher, and he can actually hit a little bit and play some defense. He's not actually that terrible. Not bad for a starting catcher. Our backup catcher is expected to be Willie McIver, and hopefully he can do some things as well, as he doesn't hit all that terrible either, and we're going to need him to play some defense. Max George may be in the majors as well. We'll see. He's only D potential, but he's one of the faster catchers I've ever seen at 80 speed. We don't have a lot of great catching prospects coming up, but Drew Romo is somebody I have high hopes for in this organization. Unfortunately, he doesn't do anything extremely well, but hopefully he can develop into a great hitter with our training regimen, which we'll get to a bit later in the episode. CJ Crone is the starting first baseman, and we know him really, really well from the Detroit Tigers franchise, and now we get to use him again. He's a very good bat, not good legs, and mediocre defense at best. We'll see what he ends up bringing to the table. Another guy, Grant Levine, and I know him pretty well because we've had him in a former series as well in our Miami Marlins franchise. Hopefully he'll develop a little bit better here than he did there. However, he's not going to be a power bat, more of a contact dude with some defense and some speed. that should hopefully be pretty well coming up the pipeline. Garrett Hampson, the starting second baseman, and maybe a guy who just stays here through the duration. Well, probably not the duration since we want to get through a bunch of seasons, but he might be here when we're ready to win a World Series. We'll see. He's a great power second baseman, and we'll see if we can use him well. Brendan Rodgers, though, coming up the pipeline. He's really, really good against lefties. That I like, but he's got to improve against righties, and he needs to improve defensively to be an everyday player, but he does have the potential to do so. We got some other guys at second base. They're not exactly the best, though. Ryan McMahon is our third baseman, and he's a pretty decent hitter. He's got a good little power bat, and he's very durable, doesn't miss a lot of games, plays great defense. Not really a guy we're ever going to look to replace, really, unless it gets really deep into the series. Then we have a prospect coming up of the pipeline, and we're looking for good things from Montero. Montero's a top 5 prospect in the Rockies organization in real life, so I made his ratings kind of reflect that, and we'll see if he could ever really be the player he was meant to be. Jose Iglesias is our starting shortstop. He's a very good contact bat, especially against lefties. He's got great vision, and he's pretty clutch. So hopefully he'll make some big hits here down the stretch for as long as we have him in this series. At left field, of course, in his new position is Chris Bryant, the big-time signing from the Chicago Cubs via the San Francisco Giants, who put him at left field, and now he is a left fielder. Then we have Connor Joe. And Connor Joe has some discipline and some clutch as well. Vision a little bit low, but he could be a pretty decent hitter and a pretty good bench bat / platoon outfielder. Looking further down the pipeline, no real left fielders to speak of, but man, at center field, we've got some crazy talent out there. Hilliard is very talented, power center field bat, which is not exactly a common thing, and he's fast as well. Jonathan Daza is our backup center fielder, and he'll platoon in the outfield as well. He's a very good contact bat, and he fields very well with a very good arm, and he's got some good speed to him. So we'll see what we can do with him. Randall Grichik is the new addition in real life. I mean, just a week ago, they made this trade with the Blue Jays, and Grichik, another power outfielder. So we got a lot of power center fielders. Where does that leave Montgomery, who's coming up in the pipeline? He looks like he could develop into a really good speed and defensive center fielder. We really need to make sure that he develops that bat, though. His intangibles aren't exactly there. Vision, discipline, clutch, all that. So we'll see if we can make him develop. Moving further on, there's nobody after Montgomery at center field, but over at right fielder, we have Charlie Blackmon. We don't know how much longer Blackmon is going to hang on. His regression might hit him really hard in the beginning of this series, but man, he's such a clutch bat, we need to keep him around for as long as we can. Zach Veen is our number 1 prospect in the organization, our only A potential prospect that we possess, and there he is. Zach Veen hopefully can be really good. It looks like he can develop a really, really nice, even bat. He's got some speed. He's got to improve a little bit defensively. We'll see if he's got the tools to do so. You may also recognize Casey Golden, who was in the Marlins franchise. Of course, he is now not expected to be much. Now, of course, it wouldn't be a series of mine without making some early trades. We've got to improve the bullpen, and Alex Reyes is the first guy that we're going to bring in for 3 prospects that we don't see having a future with us. Also, to the Phillies, Jose Alvarado and Rafael Marchand, a prospect catcher, offered to us for 3 more prospects, and we are going to take that to beef the bullpen. Another one, Matt Whistler, coming in for Chachin and a couple more prospects. We are really looking to at least have a major league bullpen. That's really what I'm looking to do, and we go into free agency, and we will find Todd Ramirez, who is a very young pitcher, not a big potential guy, but at least is a major league level relief pitcher, and he's got some youth, so you never know what you can get out of him. Now, to put some guys in the pipeline coming up, we have Guillermo Pereira, and we are going to put him in our minor leagues at the age of 19 and see if he can develop into something. Richard Rodriguez is another guy we wanted to go after. That's the big signing in free agency here before the season begins. And Rodriguez may even figure to be our closer or setup man, one of the two. We'll figure that out later in the episode. Then there is John Curtis, and we know him very well from the Marlins franchise. He was a big part of that, and now he will be here in the Rockies franchise. A little bit of familiarity here in this Colorado series to get us moving, and we really need the relief pitching. Mohamed Banks, we have nobody really in the pipeline, and this guy looks like he'd be a really nice potential player, so we are going to bring Mohamed Banks into our organization since we had a spot for him. Now, taking a look at spring training, we went 12-16 throughout spring training, so not terrible, not great, obviously, but hey, we're just looking for guys to develop and get a little bit better each time they come up to bat. And speaking of that, let's take a look. Kris Bryant had a wonderful spring, batting .397. Blackmon had a great spring as well. Crone, Rodgers, and Hilliard all had terrible springs. Marchand didn't do all that well either. We just brought him in. Daza, not very good either. And a lot of those averages pretty low. John Curtis had a wonderful spring. Freeland, not too bad. Senzatella had a bad one. Marquez looks like he is ready to be the ace and opening day starter. Chad Kuhl actually pitched really well. So did Austin Gomber. So looking forward to see what those guys bring to our starting pitcher stable come the regular season. And we'll find out not before too long. One of the biggest parts of this series as a whole, and one of the reasons I chose the Rockies to begin with, is the fact that they don't have a lot of great prospects, and that is going to put an emphasis on the fact that I'm going to have to really pay attention to scouting and the draft throughout this whole series. We have got to bring in some good players. And in order to do that, we need some good scouts. So we're going out there. We are overhauling this entire scouting tree, and this is where we're going to spend a lot of money since the Rockies decided they didn't want to spend a lot of money on the team, and they just brought in Kris Bryant. They've got heavy budget available here, projected surplus near $20 million, and we're going to use it on our scouting department. So we are firing 3 of our scouts, bringing in 3 brand new ones, and making sure that we have a scout in every single area of the country and an international scout. So what are we going to do with those scouts? Well, Tim Glynn here is really a lot better with position players, and he's really good at efficiency and discovery, so he should discover us some infielders really quickly. We are looking to get some more prospects in that pipeline. International scout Arturo Ritson, he is just really good. We can really send him anywhere and make him do anything, and we're going to start right there. Tobias Reyes, another guy who's actually really good. We're going to look for some lefty pitchers with velocity. So we're looking for a lot of pitching because our pitching is pretty piss poor. And then we'll look for some outfielders and some infielders as well. Not looking for catchers yet, but we'll do that later. Here's our training. We're flying through it because you guys kind of know how I do this. Every single hitter is either in the weight room or the batting cages, and every single pitcher is a pitching coach session. That is the best way that I have found to do it, so that's how we're doing it. Let's take a look at our lineups here. Jose Iglesias, Charlie Blackmon, Kris Bryant, Randall Grichik, CJ Crone, Ryan McMahon, Sam Hilliard, Elias Diaz, and Brendan Rodgers will be the lineup against right-handers. We don't need to worry about no DH because there's universal DH in this series. Hampson, Iglesias, Bryant, Crone, Rodgers, Grichik, Blackmon, McMahon, and Diaz against lefties. So very slight changes, nothing too crazy. Our rotation is, of course, going to be Marquez, Gomber, Senzatella, Freeland, and Kuhl. It's kind of funny how it works out righty-lefty, righty-lefty, righty. Perfect for me. I like it. Over in our bullpen, at long relief, we will have Todd Ramirez, and we will have John Curtis. Middle relief, we're going to have Alex Reyes, we're going to have Alex Colome, and we're going to have Jose Alvarado. Matt Wisler will be in there as a setup man, and Richard Rodriguez will indeed get closing duties to start this season off. We'll see how that goes. We have quite the calendar year for us as we will open and close with a series in LA against the Dodgers. Playing a lot of Dodgers and Padres early on. We'll probably take a look at a game from both of those, whether it be critical situations or whatnot. Obviously, we're going to do the full opening day, but this is where I need your guys' help. There's going to be 8 teams where you guys are going to get to pick, so let me know which teams you really want to see us play throughout the season as we go through this whole schedule here. Let me know that in the comments section below. Hopefully you guys are super duper excited for the first actual gameplay episode of this Colorado Rockies series. Thank you guys so much for the support. None other than these channel members with the immense support: Kaz Cray Gaming, Raider Bear Comics, Christian Horn, TNJ, Derek Vance, T-Clink24, and Rigoberto Ramirez. Again, thank you guys so much for the outpour support. I love y'all, and I'll see you on the next one. Go Rockies.
I feel you back somehow.